Hello and welcome to the Mayor's Update. We are once again live with our Mayor, Joe Preston. Mayor, how
Great
you
to
doing
be
today?
here. Well, I'm technology challenged, but I'm here and I'm hearing you, and hopefully you're hearing me. And that will let us do Mayor's Update and inform you of all the great things happening in St. Thomas, or at least the neat things that we found out about today.
Absolutely. One of the things I found out about today was on St. Thomas Happenings, which is Maxil. Apparently, you can
Yes.
buy PPE products from Maxil, which is a company that's on Elm Street.
Well, we recognized Maxell a couple of times at the start of COVID. So that, yes, more than a year ago, on how well it was helping. It was making masks when almost no one else was.
Mm-hmm.
And also some sanitizer, I think they were also making. So it is great to see them also say that today, and help us remember that that's the case. I did not know that they had kind of a shop there too, where you could go buy. So good to know. And they're making some very good masks at a time when we're going back to a better quality mask rather than a cloth mask. So yes, use a local company to help protect yourself. Let's do it.
Yep, and I'm just going to pop in the Maxil order form.
Okay.
For online ordering, and then you'll see it in the comments there. Boom. So if anyone wants to check it out, you can, and you can apparently order it. You don't have to pay for shipping. You can actually order it, go to the location, and pick it up right there.
For all of you that don't know where it is, it's pretty much across from Pinafore Park on Elm Street. And I think their claim to fame is they also made toothbrushes. That's what factory originally did. And there's a number of people who we have on St. Thomas Happenings and other places that work there. And so I hear from them from time to time. And I guess every so often you forget about your local heroes and who does what, right? So thank you for reminding us today that that's a place. And there's the website. Order as you will and go and pick up your own.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, I found out a little bit about that ice rink we were talking about last week. So do you have more information on this?
Well, I've got a lot more information on that. It'll be at council on Monday night. A couple of great corporations, including the Terry Group, the Doug Terry Group, will be setting up an outdoor skating rink using the one that was originally used in the North St. Thomas and between the two schools there on South Edgeware Road. I think Monsieur Morrison and must be Locks. Is it? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, in that lot, that's where they will be setting up the rink, and the fire department will help them flood. And we're looking to see if there's any other places we can do some outdoor rinks. We also, of course, have Lake Margaret. We're saying be safe, but make sure your ice is thick enough. There's a couple of other storm management ponds around town that now seem to be frozen enough, although it got a little warm today. Be careful, right?
Yep.
Make sure that we've got thick enough ice. And if I could ask the non-cooperative, oh boy, I'm going to ice fish on Lake Margaret people, please don't. Yes. You're causing the ice to not be as strong, and people want to use that as an outdoor rink and outdoor skating area for pleasure right now. So look, separate yourself well or don't do it. I mean, if you have the urge to ice fish, go in the freezer and see what you can do there. I think is a better thing than drilling holes where people are trying to skate and weaken the ice there. But there's a number of places for outdoor skating while the temperature stays cold. And we will probably have a lot more conversation about that, even with council on Monday night. I know Doug Terry Group is involved. I'm sure Impressions Printing was another one. There's 3 or 4 other businesses, and I hate to. Let me see if I can open that one because it's the first event on Monday night and it's on the other computer. So let's swing through this real quick, and so I can tell you all of the. And of course, the report comes from Jeff Bray from our Rex director, and we're helping with things like liability, provided that you're following the guidance of the St. Thomas rec people on how to make the ice and do it properly. So
makes sense.
I mean, I think that's the right way to go. So let's see who we also had in there. city-owned equipment from fire services will be helping. Outdoor rink. Who did I see? Yes, between Locks Public School and Monsieur Morrison. So this will be all talked about. Doug Terry Holmes is approached our staff about doing this, and we'll help it happen. And if we can find any more of these portable rinks, we'll help them happen wherever the neighborhood is also participating through it. So my understanding is there used to be an outdoor rink all the time at Pinafore, and I don't remember it. So right, but it may be another place, and it doesn't always have to be city property. Somebody's mentioning up here, what about 1Password parking lot for a rink? We're a little leery about using the paved areas, the parking lots, because people don't know enough that ice melted. And we don't want to be damaging it either, but I'll ask that question, and I know we'll have that question. Somebody else mentioned, what about the walkways at 1Password Park? And I like that idea too. However, these aren't refrigerated walkways like the ones at Springbank Park in London, and so when it's not deep cold, it's very hard to keep an ice surface on it. So anyway, this causes us to have some great conversation. Thank you, Doug Terry, and the other businesses. We've got Impressions Printing and Doug Terry and Home Hardware, so I see as the volunteer groups and helping groups. So let's see if we can't multiply this out more across the city in the next month or so.
Absolutely. That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Christmas tree pickup. Is that all? Is that done already, or is there still time to get rid of your trees if you say you've kept it up a little bit longer?
I do not know. I saw the original one a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think we do it for long. Honestly, Graydon, I was completely surprised to see that. I thought we had talked about we weren't doing Christmas pickup. So, Look, if you want to try customer service, they'll be able to answer you for sure. And get you an answer on it. But I do think now we're a couple weeks later, and I know we don't do it for very long. I mean, the theory is the same as we talk about whether it's litter in town and other things. You're capable of getting a Christmas tree to your house and putting it up. So we're assuming you're capable of getting it to the recycling center.
That's assuming a lot sometimes. I don't know.
Okay, but why do you assume that your neighbors are responsible? Right, so we're saying I get the premise that it's not always there, but you did have a Christmas tree magically show up at your house.
Yep. Have you ever seen the Seinfeld episode where they talk about Christmas trees?
I don't think so.
They're talking about like at the beginning of Christmas, like everyone needs a tree. They're all looking for them. They'll put it up. It's amazing. You decorate it, and like the day after Christmas, it's like they throw it out.
Right, throw it out to the curb. Right.
Yeah, just throw it right to the curb. You don't care about it anymore.
Yeah, no, it means nothing to you. And of course, at our cottage and other places, they're great firewood. They're great fire starter after Christmas. So you don't think about it at all.
And the aroma.
And many people here also have, if you have a fireplace, burning your Christmas tree after chopping it is probably okay. If you have backyard fires and keep them at a reasonable, your Christmas tree could probably be consumed that way without too much trouble too. So,
yep, totally. I like taking little sprigs off after Christmas and then just put them in the fire in the wood stove, and then it gets this amazing aroma.
Well, and the crackling you get from spruce and pine trees. I agree.
Yep, so good. What's happening at council? You found that you were back at council finally after a fairly long time. You must have had a massive council meeting. Yeah,
it went 24 minutes. It was almost a record of fastest council meeting ever. And so isn't that unique? Whenever we think we're going to be there all night and there's lots to do, we get into a piece where, wow, it's that time of year. And as you've come to learn, most of what we do at council is approving subdivisions, approving in the future for builders and that type of thing. And so, yes, some of that also occurred, right? But not near. We're at the point where next week there's quite a few more of that too, I think. And so I'm in the wrong week for council. Let me go to January 10th, the one that just ended. But we really did look at, it was a productive meeting, but when you have less, we passed the budget, right? And when you think you're passing millions of dollars worth of spending in your community, we recognize we probably got it right then, because it went pretty quickly and there was a lot less discussion and certainly a lot less input in from the public on knowing that this was going to be budget night. So we did pass a part lot control thing for Doug Terry. We passed a planning and building services report. Another removing the part lot control on for semi-detached homes for Doug Terry. So there's some of that work, but if the work's been done well by our planning department and by the developers, there's really no discussion on them. It's this report is for us. Do you say yes or no? Yes, right? And we move it on. And then the same thing happening with Performance Communities Realty on another site. So, and then an announcement of some committee of adjustment meetings. This is usually pretty boring stuff for us at council. And then we hired a consulting service that's looking at the Green Stream Canada infrastructure program on our pollution control plant. All right. This is the hiring of someone to tell us how to spend the money the federal government has now sent us on our pollution control plant to both increase its capacity and to work on odor control. So it was a great thing to have to talk about, but right now we're talking about hiring someone who will tell us. Right, so it's again not much discussion at council on it. There was the semi-annual attendance for council report, and I had I said something to our councilors on Monday night that I said, everybody attended every meeting except for one councilor who had to be away for 2 weeks. And I just don't remember that type of intense attendance among council in the past. We've done a great job of we have. More than one, but at least one person who's not missed a meeting in this whole term of council, the 3.5 years, or the three years going into the fourth. So those are people who care about your community, don't certainly, and want to know what else we have to do. We passed some other kind of housekeeping things like an interim tax levy and the borrowing limits for this year, so the city can function financially as it has to. And then we talked about insurance costs for the city for the year of 2022. And that's something that's a bit intriguing to us. I know that as a business person, it's happening everywhere. Insurance is going up at way more than inflation, incredibly more than inflation. And you, of course, don't want to try and go without insurance these days. And municipalities have to be careful across the board on a number of insurance things, whether it's straight liability or ransomware. Has happened in a number of communities around us. We need to make sure we're covered. But when the insurance company you've done great work with for a number of years and have had little claims can put in a better than 10% increase, we've got to find out how and why. And so we are talking at AMO and at Roma. These are groups of municipality organizations, and among other municipalities that we know too. I think the real issue, and it was stated, I think, by the city manager on Monday night, no two cities are alike. Some own a lot more buildings than others. Some have, have a more of a liability with some of the buildings they have. So we're checking into what to do next. But this year is the year that our insurance comes up for RFP, comes up to be renewed or at least looked at from a price point of view. So we'll have that conversation. What else we got on here? So then we passed the budget, the 2022 capital and operating budget, and there it was. And it was, again, we'd done a fair bit of discussion on it as the budget came forward and made a couple of modifications to it. And so it passed very easily on Monday night. We now have a budget. Taxpayers should be happy with about 2.3% increase on taxes. I think that on an average home in St. Thomas is $60 this year. A tax increase. I think for the services we're delivering and the growth in our community, $60 is a fair increase considering where inflation is going on most of the other products you're purchasing. Some information from Catfish Creek Authority. on Monday night on what they're doing with their group and how they're moving forward. And this coming Monday, I think Kettle Creek has a report for us also. We contribute to both of those organizations through a levy as the City of St. Thomas. So they have to let us know too. We have from the Minister of the Environment and Conservation and Parks, the Minister's annual report on drinking water came to us at Council on Monday night. I'm saving that one for a night when I really can't get to sleep, and I'll read the whole report cover to cover. But it really is telling us that we, in Ontario and across the board, municipalities care enough to do a great job with drinking water and the standards of drinking water. And that was about it it was 25 minutes long, and almost took me 25 minutes here tonight to tell you how we accomplished it all. So that's council next week or last week. And there's, as I said, a outdoor skating rink and a number of other things coming up on Monday night. We've timed this right on Mayor's Update. I never thought of this before because our agendas for next week always come out on Wednesday afternoon late. So while I was sitting there today doing another interview, it came to my computer and I went, oh, that's another thing we could talk about. We talk about the skating rink or anything big that comes out of next week's agenda. So if you've got some input, you can share it with us before the agenda. I like that.
I love it.
Yeah. And I love hearing from people. So that if you've got some thoughts and somebody wants to, Jackie wants us to shout out to the emergency childcare workers who stepped up to work during this shutdown.
Yeah.
I know that we, the province asked, and there's a number of great groups out there that are providing childcare for people who have to work, nurses and such particularly, but that's not all. Those that have to work, and during this level of school shutdown, looks like we're going back to school on Monday with a bunch more testing and some better filtration and masking and such, and good on that too. So let's hope that works out pretty well too.
Fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, well, we're sure are learning how to do it because we're getting pretty good at it. And I don't mean to say that in jest. I'm saying, look, there's a fine line to cross here of protecting people from a serious viral incident, pandemic, and letting kids learn, letting restaurants operate, letting city halls have council meetings, all of these things. So it's a mix. We've got to find that sweet spot in the middle. And I think I was listening to Mike Stubbs, on the radio the other day, and it was it looks like the kids are going back to school, and after about 10 comments from both sides of the argument on his show, one of his listeners said, well, 50% of the people are going to blame Ford for doing it this way, and 50% of the people are going to blame Ford for doing it this way, and the other 50% just aren't going to care. It was like a Yogi Berra-ism. It was like
it's like wait.
Yeah, add it up to 150, but you could add another 50 or two. So. Yeah, and somebody mentioned the passing of Carol Watson this week too, and I wanted to say something about that too. Thank you, Brenda, for letting us know that from the all the help that Carol did for the city of St. Thomas, including on our police services board too. All right, so. Carol, we will miss you. Your strength was part of what made St. Thomas strong. So Brenda, thank you for letting us share that tonight. And please, folks, sometimes the mayor doesn't have time to prepare always for the meeting, and something you've got to remind me of some of these things too. So let's thank you for sharing that. I have a new city manager.
Yeah,
started this week. Sandra Dadersbeer is an incredible person and really does know St. Thomas well and has worked for St. Thomas in the past. But Wendell Graves has decided he's had enough of working with this mayor. No, he never said that. He's been around here for longer than anyone else, I think, in our whole system, and he's going to retire. And we were able enough to do the hiring, find somebody who was perfect for the job in Sandra, and get some overlap between Wendell and Sandra, so that St. Thomas got a lot of projects going on, big projects of housing buildings and roads and the rest. There's just so many things happening. It's great that they're getting to spend time with each other and share notes. I kind of sat between them yesterday and trying to get to know Sandra's style, because I do know Wendell's, but also just share information in that funny way we all can. I'm quite pleased. I think I shared with this group, with yourself and the others, that there's a time when the city manager and the mayor have to kind of share a brain. We have to be on the same path, but not exactly taking the same steps. And so this was quite fun to see that type of communication is happening with Sandra on first and second days. So I'm very pleased that the city's in great hands moving forward with the best directors and city managers that any municipality of our size have had or will have. Really pleased with how this is going. And now that I think of that, we never ever did have Wendell, and maybe we should have Wendell on Mayor's Update, because he's kind of shy and stays in the background. But now
if you can convince him,
or have Sandra, or maybe have both while we still employ them both.
Yeah, I think that would be perfect, and get kind of a back and forth, so
you get to see who knows what and how they know it, and the things that we can do. Look, I mean, I've seen our city manager click into gear through COVID on more than one occasion. The last one being the COVID positives on some of our homeless people. But I mean, he's a kind of a silent leader. He's not a stand at the front of the room and bark out orders. It was, look, come on, team. And they all knew what their next job was. We practiced this through emergency planning, and they all did a fantastic job of putting it together, with him checking off the boxes to make sure we did it all. That's what great leaders do and great city managers do. It's the operation of the city. I know I've tried to explain this before, that the city is a $40 million entity of a business going on, and the directors and the employees in the city are like any business of that size. They do the work, or get the work done, and the mayor and council are the board of directors. I mean, and that's the easiest way to look at it. The large decisions come to the board of directors to say, yes, we'd like you to do this. We'd like taxes to be fairly low this year, 2.5%, that type of area. And the budget comes to us because that's what we've asked for. And the city manager in the middle of that, making it happen. So letting people share what those types of director positions and what the board of directors or the city council does to help that. There may have been a time in the past where each member of council was kind of hands-on some of the city departments. And that's not so much the case anymore. Almost not. We go through the directors and say, I noticed this was happening, say it was at Parks and Rec. And they share back with us why it's that way or what's happening. Perfect, right? And as would happen with a board of directors and the directors in any corporation in the business world. So somebody saying congrats, Wendell. Yes, we'll all say that, and welcome to Sandra. So it is great to have them that way. I'm smiling and breathing a lot easier this week because it looks pretty good out there, folks. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And how's Omicron doing in the city of St. Thomas? What are the numbers like? What's the response like? What are the plans going forward?
Well, it does appear as, and just going by today's case counts, we probably, I think we had a number of new, but we lost about 145 old cases. Been a couple of more deaths, but I have health unit tomorrow, and so I'd hate to speak too much out of school today because I don't have as accurate of what the virility is. We've had a few more cases at some of our long-term homes across Elgin, and that hadn't happened really in about 18 months now, and they're clearing up pretty quickly. So I thank the managers of the long-term care homes, most vulnerable people in them. So that's one of the things Omicron brought to us that we didn't want, and we'll do our best to eliminate as quickly as possible. But as I said, I'm at Health Unit tomorrow. I did spend some time this last couple of weeks doing some interviewing and planning for the replacement of Dr. Locke, our medical officer of health, and we're not at the final of that yet, so certainly we can't share with you where we are. But some pretty good candidates, some very good quality candidates, and I think we'll be in good hands at the end of this, regardless of where we end up. But the procedure's pretty long, and
yeah,
nothing like a whole day of interviewing. It's
no kidding, and it's all virtual, right? Like you're not actually being in person.
We had to be. Yeah, there's just no way we could put the number of people in a room along with the candidates. Certainly, maybe not the medical officer of health.
So you compromise, yeah.
But you're right. All done virtually. We're really determining, and even the hiring of Sandra. And some of the other hiring we've done here, a new deputy fire chief recently, and fire chief was done as some of it was done virtually too. So we're kind of, getting better at it. Mm-hmm. Who wants to get better at that? I'm not sure. We had a couple weeks back in council chambers, and I rather liked that too, although it was, again, a hybrid where we've put some technology in that room now. So it's kind of like being online and being there with your friends. And so we have to remember how to look, where to look, where's the camera.
I hear the audio is a lot better now.
For a mayor who wears hearing aids, it took part of the first meeting to figure out exactly how to make that better for me too. But you're right. Hearing is a fairly important thing. It's, listening may be even more important, but that's for Stephanie to talk to me about. But the actual just hearing part, I thank the technology people who put this together and made it work a lot better. Right? And you see new headsets tonight, even here in the home office. And I'm hearing really well tonight. So you can't fool me tonight. You can type your questions in, or Graydon can ask them. I'm probably going to get them all pretty right tonight. So.
Totally. All right. Well, is there anything else going on in the city right now that you're aware of?
Well, with where we've been with Omicron and now going back to school on Monday, that causes if you've been out this week, and
I haven't really.
It's quiet, right? I go to the business, or I go to City Hall, and because of the slate work going on the roof at City Hall, I often have to joust for a parking spot. This week there's been empties, and the roads are a little less busy. I think that's pretty much the case every year in the first, second, and third week of January. People have a lot of work to do to get ready for Christmas, and kind of empty their wallets a little bit. And so the first, second, third week, there isn't a whole lot of frivolity happening with the wallet. And so that's also the case. But it reminded me a lot of that first, the middle of March of 2020 with, wow, where are all the people? Because it was a hunker down at home situation for everyone. And as the day progresses, it gets busier out there again. People who have gone to work and are now getting out of work, or people are going to work again, or it's now afternoon and they're finished all the stuff they can possibly do in the house. So it's time to go get some groceries or to go to Home Hardware, and then that happens. So, we're finding how to deal with this in our own ways, but a lot of good conversations in the last week about how you handling it, how you feeling. The first, second, third, middle of January kind of weeks are usually have some depression to them, can be a bit of depressing weeks. And I know even into February that happens. So I'm trying to talk to as many people I can as, how you doing? Are you feeling okay? Almost everybody I spoke to, I'm a little lonely. And I'm that way too. I know you and I talk and a lot, and as I said, I have a new city manager, and there's some conversation that just has to take place. But I still miss people, I do. And I thought we were getting back to not missing people as much. I could go to some of my favorite spots, and now they're out again. And we hope next week we get back, right? Yes, Jack, you mentioned Blue Morning Day is coming. That's the most depressing day of the year, apparently. And Stephanie always talks about that. And there's always groups that asked her to go sing on that day, because it was more of turn it into more of a festival. Talk, have some fun. So yeah. So the Blue Monday piece is so is that next Monday? Might be, or the Monday after. It's the kind of dreariest day of the year when the credit card bills come in from Christmas, and it's got a whole lot of things that are wrong with it. So let's keep these smiles on our faces and go out there and have good conversations with people about them too. So.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the Catfish Creek Conservation Authority, and they manage a bunch of different parks around this area, which are actually quite fantastic. So Jess and I basically been hunkering down for about 3-4 weeks now, just because we've got Lily, and we're very cautious about going out anywhere and maybe catching something and bringing it back. But one of the things you can do is go to one of those parks and walk around. So we were just at the Yarmouth. The name always gets me. Oh no.
It's a piece of catfish.
It's a piece of the Catfish Creek, and it's Yarmouth. It's on Established Media. There's pictures up there.
Right.
What's the name of the place? Yarmouth. Yes, the Yarmouth Natural Heritage Area.
Excellent.
Don't let the name fool you. It's actually really beautiful. It sounds very prescriptive, but it's good.
You and I will argue about what's really beautiful at 20 below. Almost nothing in my mind. In your well-dressed, nature background and your extra youth, some of these places are really a lot of fun. Right? So yeah, I get it. Right.
No, we took Lily out with a stroller. We were off-roading around the trails. It was fantastic. We'd get to the logs, and Jess and my mom would help lift the front of the stroller, and I would lift the back, and then it was absolutely fantastic. But I mean, those are one of the things where you can get out, you can walk around, you can be safe.
And you've got to do it. I mean, look, I said this today to someone else doing an interview of me on drug and alcohol strategy. Look, there's every reason in the world why I might want to get in the bed in fetal position and cover my head with the blanket. I mean, there just is right now, many reasons. But you've got to smile and say, but I'd still rather go talk to people. So let's get out there a little bit and do that. So, hey, ease off on the complaints of the mayor just for maybe the next year or so. But the saying hi and smiling is fantastic. Let's do that.
Yeah, and Jackie says it's January 17th.
Oh yeah, so next Monday our council meeting is on Blue Monday. Okay, let's let's see if we can have a fun day that day. Right?
I'm going to tune in for that one.
Well, but the great idea, with an outdoor rink announced by some great local businesses, these are the things that combat Blue Monday. So St. Thomas will take it to a different direction than most cities who will be sad all day. Let's put it that way.
I love it. All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers all the things.
Wow. January is that kind of month, isn't it?
It is. We're just getting through all the pieces. I mean, we're trying to also keep it to about half an hour and try and get through everything. And
quick survey: who's taken down all their Christmas decorations? I mean, we talked about Christmas trees, but I didn't ask. Right? We are about 3/4, I guess, done. Right, and trying to decide what is still good for next year and where is it being stored and that type of thing. But I think am I right? Most people by the 15th of January we've taken a look and said that's 2 weeks after Christmas or 2.5 weeks after Christmas. And I know there's people who take stuff down on January 1st on New Year's Day. Right, so
I can say we took the tree out today.
Okay.
So we just got rid of our tree today, but the Christmas lights are all still up on the house.
Oh yeah, well they may not get turned on as much, although I like that too, right? Because they're going to stay up till we can actually safely put a ladder up to the house and how cold it is. So right, and Margaret McKnight says January 6th is Epiphany, and that's when the tradition is that most people would take down Christmas decorations, because there are Orthodox Christmases in some of the religions that were actually this week or last week too. So.
Yep.
Well, there's the mayor just being curious, and I think we did a great job this year as a community on festiveness. You had some great listings up there on where you could go see Christmas lights every night, and I will admit that I did some of that. But okay, who's got where's the good ones? There's a couple of pretty good ones right near my house, but we did it. St. Thomas is its jolly old soul. It did a pretty good job this year of celebrating Christmas in a time of some troubles. So
Absolutely. We had a couple thousand people take a look at the two different lists, because remember, there was the one Christmas lighting list we put up, and then due to user error, it entirely disappeared.
Yeah.
And then we brought another one up, and I think that one's at about
Yep.
1,600.
Right.
And so yeah, it was. It's great. It's great. It's great to see that there's thousands of people that are interested in these lists and going to check out all the different lights around the community. And I gotta say, there's some very impressive light displays that I wouldn't have been aware of unless we'd run that contest.
No, because it's not a street I normally drive down. Certainly not after dark in a lot of cases, and neighboring communities too. I mean, obviously from my background as the former MP, there's some fantastic displays in Port Stanley, some fantastic displays in Belmont, and so if you even tire of your own, there's lots of other places to go look. I remember in my youth. And I mean young, where 6 kids could all fit in the car, and you had to argue over who got the hump. Lambeth was always a place from London that you had to go look at the Christmas lights in Lambeth, right? And that's not far from here. I don't know if it still has that flavor or not. I guess I should have gone to Lambeth to look at some point too. But the Mayor of St. Thomas stays fairly close to home, to tell you the truth. He's getting old, and the bed comes early.
Right.
I worked a lot in the restaurant business where midnight was the bare minimum for when you're up till, and it might have been 2:00. Yeah, that doesn't work anymore for me. Yeah. So
I don't know. I've got the sleep schedule now where I get up early, and then I have a siesta for like an hour, and then I stay up a little bit later, and that kind of like.
So you're into the siesta, the napping piece. I found the same thing, Graydon, but it has to be at least an hour, or it doesn't do me much good. I have to get
100%.
Right. You can't do that 5-minute cat nap. Nope. Some people say, "Oh, I'm all refreshed." Yeah. No. I'm not ready for that. Right? It's got to be 1 hour, and maybe even just a bit more in the afternoon when I have to nap, because I've been burning the candle, if you will, and it really makes a difference. That 1 hour.
Yep. It makes all the difference. And other people say if I get more than 15 minutes, it destroys me for the rest of the day. And if I don't get more than the 15 minutes, it destroys me for the rest of the day. So
it's a personal clock. Yeah, it's a personal clock. It's what works for you, and live with it. So it's great.
Yeah. All right.
Is that it? We've done all of Mayor's update today. The Mayor has no more information to share at this moment until I hit this leave meeting button, and then I'll think of 53 things. I meant to talk about that today. I meant to share that today. So, not going to happen this week. We'll catch it all next week. Please share with your friends to watch Mayor's Update, to hear what's happening in our community. Please use Mayor's Update as a way to get information for yourself and help and other things that you can do to help your community. But for the most part, just come on and let us have a little fun every Wednesday night at 7:30, and share it with your friends so they can see that we're fairly jovial people who try to get things done. I like Reed. He laughs at a lot of my jokes, so he's a keeper.
Well, I like how it's turned into kind of a community forum. So I was wondering if we should call it like the mayor's forum or something.
Sure. Let's call it that. We'll get some chariots and some gladiators, and we'll do the halftime show. Right?
There's nothing wrong with that. We could do a whole thing.
You should have seen the smile on my face today, and you'll like this one. I walked into my new city manager's office, and she said, "I just walked down the Streamliners. This is great coffee." Right? Well,
good.
Yeah, great. Perfect. They sponsor the Mayor's Update. No, I didn't even have to share with her. I said it is a special place to get coffee in our community, and to in more general times meet everybody you needed to meet. Is a great place to go. But it was funny on the second or third day that she's telling me what good stuff she's found in St. Thomas. So that's great.
And that touches on one of the things. That was the one thing I was meaning to mention was support the restaurants right now with takeout.
Oh, please. Look, they've kept you. They've helped you. They sponsor your kids' soccer teams and hockey teams and such, and help with the Downtown Development Board, a bunch of other stuff. So please, if you can, I know this is a tough time also financially right after Christmas, but please use the takeout and do your best to get the money all right to the restaurant. By you picking it up or using a delivery system that's better, and tell them that you're doing it on purpose. You're doing it because you want them in our community forever.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great restaurants out there really pivoting well and doing some pretty good business. And there's those that just need your help all the time. So please help.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, thanks to all our sponsors, all our viewers, and Mayor Joe Preston. You're all amazing.
Yeah, great. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, 7:30.